Welcome to Afghanistan. In this video we're going into the heart of chaos by taking a look at the truly bizarre world of Afghan TV. Get comfortable as we watch the most popular TV shows in Afghanistan and see what millions of Afghans watch every day. This is an incredible story of oppression, of how women were basically banned from appearing on TV, how music was erased overnight, and how television reflected a war-torn nation. This is a nation's history told through its TV screen, and it's a story that's never been told before. So, let's tell it now. This is the mad, bizarre whirlwind of television in Afghanistan. So our TV journey starts in 1978. Yes, 1978, because TV arrived in Afghanistan pretty much after everybody else in the world. So the state-owned TV channel is called Radio Television Afghanistan, and it first started broadcasting for 2 hours each day in August 1978. Early programming was very limited and looked like this. So imagine waiting decades for TV to arrive, and then this is what you get. So early Afghan TV was mostly this. It was focused almost entirely on music and performers singing on TV. Okay, so I watched hours and hours of early Afghan TV for you, and honestly, this is pretty much it. It's singer after singer. TV was only on for 2 hours each day in the 70s and early 80s, so basically the top singers of the time would walk into the studio and sing at the camera. So interestingly, early Afghan TV was actually a bit of a golden age for women, because women would appear often on television dancing and performing. Here's famous Afghan singer Zahelia Zaland performing on RTA in 1979. As you're watching this, it's worth bearing in mind that if she tried to do this now, she would be beaten by the religious police. She's a lot better than the other guys, isn't she? Think how much talent Afghanistan has been robbed of. Now, what's interesting in watching early Afghan TV is it's pretty clear that this was a new medium for many Afghan singers. As an example, here is the super talented Bakt Zamina performing again in 1979. But it's pretty clear from her performance that she is not familiar with the concept of playback, of miming, and of performing on TV. But don't judge these performers by these early TV performances. Remember that TV was a brand new format for Afghanistan. This is pretty much what television in Afghanistan looked like for the first few years of its existence. But isn't it incredible to see so many of these super talented, beautiful women singing completely unveiled on TV? Now, as we move into the 1980s, RTA purchased its first green screen. Prepare yourselves, everyone. Again, it's fair to say the performers had not quite got used to performing on TV yet. She looks like she's waiting for a bus, but I promise you she will start singing at some point. I think she's thinking, did I leave the oven on? And she's off. Go on, girl. So you'll have noticed that all of the performances are very authentic and traditional, and this was because despite it being a golden age at the time, TV was tightly controlled by the state, and all performances had to be traditional and very cultural in nature. However, very occasionally, foreign bands were invited to perform on Afghan TV. So here's the Cuban delegation performing on TV as part of the Afghan-Cuba Cultural Exchange Program. Think of how fun this must have been to finally see and hear some different kinds of music and styles on TV. And given the Soviet influence in the country, one of the favoured countries to get performers from was Cuba. I actually really like this song. Now, it wasn't just singing, there was some pretty spectacular dancing as well. Someone call a doctor, he's off his meds again. It's probably just worth reflecting again. This performer on TV could probably never expect that in just 10 years, women would be completely banned from performing on television and be forced to wear the burqa whenever they left the home. In the mid-1980s, Radio Television Afghanistan would also put on the occasional play or drama for their viewers, such as this one broadcast in 1985 to celebrate Newroz, the Iranian New Year. No expenses spared on the set or costume, as you can tell.
کامیابی و گشایش از آن کسی باد که در آغاز سال روان خویش را پاک سازد و با خرد و نیک اندیشی و منش نیک به سر میبرد. چنین باد.
Now, Radio Television Afghanistan would also occasionally put on comedy plays, which were often shown in front of live studio audiences. This play is called Poor Groom, and this sketch is all about an overwhelmed groom navigating the increasingly ridiculous wishes of his bride's family. So basically, the groom's family arrive at the bride's home, and the bride's side demandingly increase bigger and bigger payments, including cash, grains, animals, clothing, jewellery, and eventually even the groom's horse and saddle, leaving the groom completely overwhelmed and destitute, as you can see. So here's his crazy mother-in-law-to-be demanding more and more payment from him. She's pretty intense. And the comedy escalates until basically everybody in the family is having a go at the poor groom. Yeah, so it's pretty chaotic, it's very loud, and it's probably really funny in Farsi as well. And it's a good example of the kind of plays and sketches that Radio Television Afghanistan would put on in the 1980s for its viewers. But we're now going to leave the comedy and move on to the news. So this was the only news programme in Afghanistan. It aired daily at 8 PM and was broadcast in both Farsi and Dari. Now, clips from the news are incredibly rare because they were broadcast live and archives were either not kept or destroyed by the Taliban. But here's the best I could find to give you an idea. Now, RTA News functioned as a key propaganda tool for the Soviet-backed Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. It broadcast content that was infused with communist ideology, intended to legitimize the invasion, highlight the regime's successes, and undermine the Mujahideen resistance efforts amid growing conflict. So on tonight's news, they are interviewing General Tanai, who served as the Minister of Defense during the Soviet occupation era. During the interview, General Tanai is defending the regime's positions and strategies amid the ongoing fighting. He is insisting that the Soviet forces are beating the Mujahideen. Let's see how long that lasts. Now, when the Soviets occupied the country, they took control of the TV station, and this did, if nothing else, at last give kids in Afghanistan something to watch on TV. Because there were no Afghan children's TV shows, no cartoons whatsoever. But then the Soviets entered, and with them came New Pogody. So, New Pogody, which translates as Well Just You Wait, is probably the most famous Soviet cartoon of all time. It's about a fox trying to catch a hare and failing comically each time. And yes, you're right, it is the Soviet version of Tom and Jerry. And it is absolutely brilliant. Honestly, New Pogody is such a good cartoon. I love the animation, I love the colours. Each scenario they get themselves in is just absolutely ridiculous and brilliant. And as I said in the video on TV in the Soviet Union, I actually think New Pogody is better than Tom and Jerry. You can go and watch a few episodes and decide for yourself. But the colour and cartoons were not going to last long. Because as Afghanistan entered the 90s and the Soviet forces withdrew, the whole country was left in complete and utter chaos. Civil war broke out, and eventually the Taliban came to power in 1996. And this is what they did to television. Yep, they switched it off. Because upon seizing control of the country, the Taliban imposed a strict ban on TV, viewing it as un-Islamic and as a source of immorality. The Taliban travelled around Kabul and smashed up the state-run TV stations and all their equipment. They criminalised watching or possessing TVs, travelling from home to home in the country, searching properties and destroying all TV equipment. Anyone found to still be hiding away a TV, perhaps desperately trying to receive a signal from a neighbouring country, was tortured and put in prison. Gone were the singers, the dancers, the comedy sketches, the cartoons. Everything TV related was completely and utterly destroyed. This makes Afghanistan one of only a few countries in the world to have outright banned television, the others being South Africa up until 1979 and Bhutan until 1999. However, there were very small pockets of resistance, because in the Northern Alliance territories, TV was kept barely alive, flickering on a shoestring. In small parts of the north, informal TV stations were set up. They were operated with generators and antennas pulled together using rudimentary materials. They had incredibly limited reach, but some people could see it. And what would they broadcast? Well, believe it or not, this.
John Rambo, a drifter, just passing through their town.
Morning!
No, really. So the basic TV stations set up in the north didn't have studios, so instead they would play out VHS tapes, often dubbed or subtitled. And Rambo became incredibly popular in areas of the north, who presumably resonated with its resistance themes, and well, let's be honest, Rambo is just a pretty epic movie.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
You send that many, don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags.
Amazing line. Now, following the US-led invasion, the Taliban were toppled from power, and TV slowly flickered back to life. After Kabul was conquered, the US got to work fixing the battered studios, and by November the 18th, 2001, Kabul TV resumed broadcasts. At first, the signal was weak, and it only broadcast a few hours a day. But by December 2001, with support from Japan, RTA was back fully running, and started pumping out hours and hours of programming. The 2000s marked a massive media renaissance in Afghanistan, with channels like Tolo TV and Ariana TV leading the way. Programming exploded, focusing on reality competitions, talk shows and dubbed foreign soaps. And this show was the biggest of them all. This is Afghan Star.
بیننده های عزیز تلویزیون طلوع و شنونده های عزیز رادیوی آرمان، سلام علیکم. اینجا افغانستان.
So Afghan Star was a massive TV singing show that aired on the Tolo channel from 2005 all the way up till 2021. It's obviously modelled after formats like American Idol and Pop Idol, but it was independently produced because it didn't have the official licence. The show debuted just 4 years after the fall of the Taliban regime, who had banned all music from 1996 to 2001, making the show a symbol of cultural revival and freedom of expression in a post-war Afghanistan. Now, Afghan Star was by far Afghanistan's most watched TV programme. It drew massive audiences. Viewership peaked at around 50 million, or a third of the entire country. It was a national phenomenon that transcended ethnic and regional divides. It inspired widespread participation, with thousands of people auditioning each year, and even led to cultural shifts such as increased acceptance of music and of women being back performing on TV. Just imagine for a second how incredible this is. In the space of less than a decade, we've gone from music being banned, from women being banned from appearing on TV, from TV itself being banned, to Afghan Star. Women appearing unveiled on TV, singing, people dancing, cheering, voting for their favourites. The transition is incredible. I cannot overestimate just how massive this show was. Some people bought a TV just so they could watch it, and by the 2010s it had morphed into a high-budget, slick talent show, with modern staging, performances and graphics.
شراب است کجایی به من حال من باز خراب است کجایی به من آه بعید میبینمت از راه دور
In a pattern that will become very familiar to you by the end of the video, it's needless to say that Afghanistan is no longer on TV. When the Taliban came back into power, they banned this show, along with hundreds of others. Here's another show that will look familiar to many of you. This is Ro Dar Ro, translated as Family Feud. So you know the format of this show, two families face each other and must guess the most popular answers in each category. This first question is names beginning with R-A.
ریحان در سروی ما هست پریسا
رحیم
Come on, Rahim's gotta be up there.
بله
And if you're wondering what the grand prize is on the Afghan Family Feud, take a look.
به ادامه برنامه خوش آمدین. موقع سوال سوم که امتیاز ضرب 2 میشه. لمرسیکلت با کیفیت بی‌نظیر موتورسیکلت متفاوت.
This show looks and feels great. It's a modern Afghan take on the Family Feud style game show, and it must have been so incredibly entertaining for Afghans to watch. This is the point in the video where I tell you that this show was also banned after the Taliban came to power. Meanwhile, the other main entertainment channel in Afghanistan, Afghan TV, acquired this popular format.
کاش بودم چون کتاب افتاده در کنج خموش تا نگردد روبرو جز مردم دانا مرا.
What do you reckon the answer is? I haven't got a clue. The contestant has gone for 1,000.
کتاب تحفه بسیار زیبایی است برای دوستان ما که همه 4,000 افغانی به خود داده میشه.
Hey, she's right, and she's just won 4,000 Afghanis, which is about $61 US. The top prize on this show was 1 million Afghanis, which is about $22,000 US. So Afghan TV has struggled to continue to operate since the Taliban have come to power. Women have been barred from presenting the news, and new media laws mean that entertainment shows like this one can no longer be aired. The channel is still in operation, however its broadcasts are a shadow of its former self. It now focuses on news, religious programs and sports. The final show we're going to look at before the Taliban come back to power is something for the children. This is Bagash-e-Simsim, translated as Sesame Street.
سلام زیم هدی رازای چنان دیلیاز ده فامیل سره لارشو پغمانتا رازای.
So this was Afghanistan's local adaptation of Sesame Street, produced by the Sesame Workshop and the Moby Media Group. It aired on Tolo TV from 2011 to 2021. Each 30-minute episode teaches literacy, maths, health and social skills through local segments as well as dubbed international content.
در مرختیا ویلی پغمان واقعا چې ډېر ښکلی ځای دی څه ونې څه غرونه څه ګلونه زه مې پلار پرېښودلم چې د دې ښکلی.
It was originally introduced in Afghanistan to be played in schools as part of an effort to boost education. Afghanistan has incredibly low literacy rates. Only 43% of children can read, the vast majority of them boys. However, the show evolved into a full TV program within a few years. The show promotes gender equality, ethnic unity and cultural heritage. It's really quite cool to see Sesame Street being used to promote traditional Afghan culture.
دا خو ډېر ګډوډ شوی دی تصور چې داسې تا کبان نیولې خورۍ لري رڼا له خپل پلار څخه غواړي چې هغه هم د کبانو نیولو ته له ځانه سره.
So this became Afghanistan's top children's TV show. Some estimates suggest that it reached 80% of families by 2017 and it was one of the few dedicated kids shows on TV. You know the story by now. This show stopped being made in 2021 following the Taliban takeover. This was due to restrictions on media content which promoted women's rights and equality and Western-style education. There are no new episodes or TV revivals as of the making of this video. So we've mentioned it enough, so now let's fast forward to the final section of this video to see what happened to TV when the Taliban came to power. So this is the main news programme currently in Afghanistan. It airs every evening at 8 PM on RTA, focusing on government activities, national events and international developments.
In the name of Allah, good evening and welcome to this hour's news. I'm Suleiman Talash and this is RTA News. In the 8th meeting of the cabinet chaired by Mullah Muhammad
They
Hassan
broadcast
Khan,
one
the Prime
English
Minister of
version
the
a
Islamic
week,
Emirate
which
of
you're watching
Afghanistan.
now.
There was a discussion about the prevention of the import of low-quality oil. In this meeting, the delegation led by the head of the follow-up and supervision of the political deputy of the Prime Minister of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan says that political representatives of the Islamic
That's the
Emirate
Taliban
are
flag
active
on
in
the
40
right there.
countries of
So,
the
ever
world.
since they came
All
back
areas
into
of
power,
Kurdistan,
RTA's news programming has operated under extreme constraints on press freedom. This show is no longer news. It's just a propaganda tool that disseminates only government-approved content. Any dissenting voices is suppressed, any bad news is not covered. It is for this reason, amongst others, that Afghanistan is ranked 178th out of 180 countries in global press freedom.
The relations of the Islamic...
The final one is that the Disaster Preparedness Department of Kabul province distributed food aid to 200 families affected by natural disasters. According to officials,
Meanwhile, the main entertainment channel in Afghanistan, Tolo TV, has had to drastically adjust its content. Entertainment shows like Afghan Star have been cancelled due to the Taliban banning music. No, really they have. And content showing men and women interacting is also prohibited. Instead, the channel has increased its religious broadcasts and introduced single-sex programs. This is one of the sitcoms that Tolo TV is currently airing. It's called Senf Jim, which translates to Class J, and is based around humorous depictions of classroom life and everyday scenarios, involving students, teachers and school antics. Women are banned from going to school in Afghanistan, so it's no girls allowed.
استاد جمگل خان از این بعد برای شما قراره که انگلیسی درس بده و جناب استاد جمگل خان که هستن یک از استادای زبردستن و چیزی که شما باید بفهمین اینه که استاد جمگل خان میخوان به صورت افتخاری برای شما درس بدن. میفهمین یعنی چی؟
یعنی که افتخار میکنم ما شاگردای نفته.
آخه شاگردی مثل شما داشتن افتخار داره.
I don't know why there are fully grown men playing students or exactly where the comedy is supposed to be in this show. Now, using the magic of AI, I've managed to use subtitle translations for some of the programs coming up, but I have to say, it doesn't really help. I've got absolutely no idea what this show is about, why it's so low budget, or why it is apparently a sitcom. Nothing funny happens in it.
استاد اینجا شکر کسی فارسی خورم نمیفهمه چی برسه به انگلیسی شما از همه صفر درس بده.
اوکی پس از صفر شروع میکنیم. حاضرین که اولین درس انگلیسی را همراه شما شروع کنیم؟
نه خیر.
چرا نه؟
استاد جان شما به دل نگیرین، صنف جیم شکر به هیچ درس آماده نیه.
البته استاد جان من 100% آماده ام.
شما حتما فرزاد خان هستین درست است؟
بله استاد جان.
البته چالان باشه.
There's another youthful looking student. Right, shall we crack on and move on from this one? So another popular show currently in Afghanistan is this one. This is The View, or Loose Women, but without any women whatsoever. In this episode, they're interviewing a mountain climber and bodybuilder.
خواسته باشی غذای پروتئین دار زیاد استفاده کنی که سینه مرغ تخم گوشت
کلاو پاچه میخوره بخاطر که پروتئین داره.
On now though to Afghanistan's biggest game show.
بله بله.
This is Attack Rekabat, translated as Attack the Competition. And this is a game show that involves two teams competing against each other in various low-budget challenges to see who can win. Take a look at some of these incredible challenges.
بازی جمع با توپ است از دور پرتاب نکن ببر اونمو تو بسیار عالی خیلی خوب بسیار عالی ماشاءالله می‌بینیم که شما چقدر توانایی جمع زدن را دارید بسیار خوب بازی برو بخیر بازی سفر با شوکی هست و می‌بینیم که اجزای ما چه میکنن تشویق بکنید اگر تشویق نمیکنید به این بطه بعضی ما که تشویق داره برو تشریف بکن خیلی عالی بسیار عالی برو خیلی خوب
So you get the idea. The whole show is basically like a low-budget sports day.
معلوم میشه بازی گل با بینی هست اجزای ما چه میکنن برنده میشن یا با دوست استفاده نکن برو از سر بسیار خوب خیلی عالی ماشاءالله برو تعادل خود حفظ بکنین آنقدر سرعت نرین که توپ بی کنترل میشه از پیشتان
So as you can tell, all of the challenges in this show are completely and utterly ridiculous. But I have to be honest, there was something strangely addictive about watching this show. It's actually quite entertaining once you get into it. And of all the shows currently airing since the Taliban came to power, well, this is probably the most entertaining one. Now, I had to search pretty hard to try and find a show that had any women on it whatsoever, but after a lot of Googling, I finally found one. So this show is called The Elementary School, and it's a medical education show. In today's episode, they're covering jaundice in children. As you can see, the female presenter has to appear with her face covered, and she cannot have any men as guests on her show.
امروز خواستیم در مورد زردی صحبت کنیم که چرا کودک‌ها یا نوزادا زمانی که به دنیا میآیند البته بعد از یکی دو روز سپری شدن مادر متوجه میشه که پوست بدن نوزادشان زرد میزنه یا سفیدی چشمای نوزادشان به زرد رنگ تبدیل شده. علتش من همراهتان شریک میسازم و پیرامون این موضوع صحبت‌های می داشته باشیم. زردی در نوزادان
و همچنین روی بدنشان پس شانهشان بسیار زرد میگرده. طفل شیر نمیمکد، زیاد نارامی از خود نشان میده.
Now, this is all quite odd because both of the women on this show are doctors. However, no new women can train to become doctors as they're now banned from attending medical institutions and universities. Also, due to strict segregation policies, current female doctors can only treat female patients, and many health institutions have now fired all of their female doctors. So I'm not sure how sustainable this policy is in the long term. But if anything sums up the sheer ridiculousness and backwardness of the Taliban, perhaps it's this show. Two qualified doctors providing medical advice while women are banned from studying medicine. And this seems like an apt way to conclude our journey through Afghan TV.
دفن نمیشه.
جگرشان قابلیت زیر
Well, I hope you enjoyed that rather wild ride through Afghanistan. Telling a nation's history through its TV is complex, but maybe, just maybe, it helped you to gain a better understanding of Afghanistan's unique history and culture. I was debating how to conclude this video, given that the current situation in Afghanistan is so dire. But I decided to end not on a note of despair, but on one of hope. Because if one thing is certain about Afghanistan, it is that it is turbulent and that the regime can change at any moment. And so maybe this is not the end of the story. Maybe this is just another chapter. And perhaps at some point in the future, Afghans will again enjoy some remnants of freedom and families will be able to sit around their TVs, enjoying music and once again, watching Afghan Star. thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also become a channel member to help support the channel. We'll see you next time.